Hello, guys. Good to talk to you all again. It is the 26th of May, 2 days before my birthday. And as you can see, I'm sitting at home. So I came home at the beginning of April, as you know, because I had had enough. I was tired and I wanted to get home to my own bed and I wanted to see my kids and all the usual good stuff. And I came home to a really cold April and May. I think actually May was the coldest May on record, or certainly the coldest May in a long, long time. Although it is 27, 28 degrees today. So we're having a few good days. We're having our Irish summer. Um, Today's video is going to be a bit unusual. It is normally my videos are about a walk or a hike or a day out or something. This one is about a whole plethora of things that have happened since I came back and where I am, my thinking and what I'm doing and so on. So I've did up my notes, my little mind map, and I'm going to go through them. And before I start, I want to show you my ring. So this is my Slieve signet ring. And Ellie partnered up with a lady called the Wandering Goldsmith, and she's making these rings. And this is silver, solid silver. It's a big heavy lump, not a hollow ring. €215 for my one. I thought it was great value. And my first ring, I think I had a signet ring once upon a time years ago, and I wore a wedding band while I was married. But I had my first tattoo, and I sort of considered this my first ring. And I got this ring as sort of a symbol of my retirement and my sort of new life, my new departure. It's funny when people ask me, what do you do? I say, I walk, I hike, I run. And it's sort of strange. And this ring sort of symbolizes for me, a little bit like my tattoo and doing the Camino with Ellie, a new departure, a new beginning. And hopefully, knock on wood, I've got a few years of this ahead of me, off my camper van and off hiking. So that was the first thing, the Slieve signet ring. Absolutely beautiful. I think you can get them through Ellie's website, through Tough Souls, or through the Wandering Goldsmith. I think it's I would think it's really, really nice. I think it's a wonderful gift for somebody. I think it's smash. I'm very, very pleased with it. The second thing I want to talk about is, before I go into anything that's happened over the last couple of months, is a book I'm reading. I'm my second read. I read it through and now I'm reading it line by line. Very, very carefully. And you can see the book here. And it is all about the philosophy of walking. And for anybody who's interested in thinking about what walking is and what it means to walk, and what Nietzsche did, or Rousseau, or all these people, their views on walking and how they walked, and Kant. It's a really, really interesting book. I think it's the best book I've read in a long time, actually. I'm really enjoying it. So I strongly recommend it. Okay, into my little plan here. So I have to sort of look at my notes here. The first thing is what my plan was and now what my plan is. So my plan was to try and emulate Ellie. She did the Vandeleur Line challenge, the 275 peak on the island of Ireland. They're above 600 metres with a 15-metre promontory. And she walked, believe it or not, she climbed them all, 275 of them in 50 days, which I find to be nothing short of remarkable. It's interesting, when I went to see the movie, the short movie that was edited by Outsider, who actually gave the award, the Outdoor Woman of the Year, that she got a couple of years ago from them. When they did the movie, I saw it in Carrick-on-Shannon in the cinema there up on the big screen. It was wonderful, so it was. Absolutely amazing. And Ellie said at some stage, when she was doing the Q&A after being interviewed by the guy from Outsider, she said, well, she doesn't consider herself really sort of an elite athlete or anything like that, or even maybe even an athlete. Well, I can tell you, she absolutely is. When I think of elite athletes, I think of the word, obviously you need talent. So you have to have talent, whatever the thing you're doing is. There's a basic talent and training and so on that's required. But the fundamental difference, I think, is I call grit. and mental toughness. And you can have a tough body. And so clearly Eddie climbed 275 peaks in 50 days. That's 5 or 6 peaks a day. And so her body obviously is tough. But I think it requires a sort of a psychological toughness, a mental toughness that's quite different, and that she clearly has as well to be able to do what she did. And for me, an elite athlete has this physical toughness or grit, but they also have this mental toughness, this mental grit. And that's what differentiates them. And Ellie sure as hell has it. So I thought, I'm her dad. I'm an emulator and I'll go and do it. So let me tell you what happened. I have a friend up in Newcastle in County Down, and she is a runner and a hiker and a mountain climber, an interesting lady. I thought, well, this would be good. I go up to County Down to the Mourns, and I go up with somebody who knows the way around the mountain range, and they'd be able to guide me and all that kind of good stuff. So I told them we do the 7 sevens, the 7 peaks above 700 meters. And she laughed her head off at me. And so when I arrived up there, I said, so the 7 sevens? And she said, no. And I said, yeah. And she said, no again. So I said, fine, what will we do? So she showed me this walk that she thought that we could do. And she said, this would be a good walk. So I said, fair enough. And I went out and I did the walk. So we climbed 1,000 meters. We had 3 peaks, 1,000 meters, 16 odd kilometers, and it took us 6 and a bit hours. And it nearly killed me. And I learned a few important lessons. The first one is the difference between hiking in Spain on dry terrain, on well-waymarked plats, in light gear with my trail shoes on, my trail runners, is quite, and with ascents, some of them quite steep, but most of them over an extended period. You might still do 1,000 meters. In fact, I think I did 1,600 meters and 25 kilometers one particular hike. But the 1,600 meters was over the 25 kilometers. So the things I noticed here was the first thing is that the ascents were incredibly steep. This walk up to Slieve Donard, they did a couple of peaks first and then Slieve Donard, I just found it incredibly steep. The second thing was the terrain is completely different. It's boggy, it's soft, it's mushy, it's wet. It's like tough going. Very different from a well-packed trail in Spain. The third thing, I was all geared up and I had my big heavy Mindel boots on. And 6 hours and 16 kilometers in those boots was brutal. So very different experience. I didn't enjoy it. That's not true. I enjoyed the success of it, but I suffered for it. And in fact, my feet were sore for a full 2 weeks after it, after the boots. So I won't be doing that again anytime soon. So I'm damn glad that my friend up there, Regine, that she recommended that we do a shorter walk. And as tough a walk as I've done, I think, in a long time. So that was my first sort of learning. And so then the question was, okay, well, what will I do for the summer? And I decided what I would do is I would do the pilgrim route. So you can see the book here, and a really nice little book. And I'd already done 3 of the routes in it. There are 20 in total. I'd done Maumeme, I'd done Toherporrick, and I'd done the Kilcommon loop, Kilcommon Pilgrim Loop, which I really liked. I liked Toherporrick as well. I liked them all, actually. There were 3 nice walks. And I thought, well, I'll do more of those. And that would keep me going for the summer. There's a few over here, 3 up in Donegal, 1 over in up in Antrim, I think. And the rest are pretty much all down south, Kerry and around, or a little around further south. So I'm sort of looking forward to doing this. So the first one we did Croagh. So we climbed, Regine came down, and after doing the Mourns, she said she'd come down and do another one with me. So she came down and we climbed Croagh. Now, what's interesting about Kilpatrick is one of the pilgrim routes was also one of the Vandeleur Lynham peaks. So I thought, if I have the opportunity to knock them off the list, I'll do them one at a time like that and knock them off the list. We climbed it an unusual way. We went around the back of it. So you can go right around the back, go to, park up in Murris, walk out about a few kilometres and come up over the two peaks and then up Kilpatrick and then down the normal pilgrim route and back down. We went shortcut. We went out about halfway out, and then we cut through private land, and in fact had an interaction with the farmer. And he was not a happy man with us. I can't blame him. We were trespassing. It was clearly marked private, but it was on the hiker app, so I thought it was okay, but it wasn't. So we apologised, and he let us go through, and that was a lovely walk. I mean, you get boggy and all the rest. I was wearing my Hoka Challengers. And I didn't mind if I got wet, and I did. My feet went down to bog. I was soaking wet, but I didn't mind. I was wearing my shorts. And I just kept moving fast. And so I wore those, and we went up the mountain, and about maybe 200 metres before the top. I think it's about 800 metres in total. Let me have a look at my notes and see what it is. At Croagh, it is 760 metres. And the walk was 10K, and we did it in about 3 hours, 20 minutes. But the last couple hundred metres up were screed, as you have on the other side of the mountain, but the path was sort of a zigzag path up, so it was very easy. It was no big deal at all. A nice walk up. And then when we got to the top, it was like really, really windy. In fact, I saw a woman blown over, and she banged her head. And it was very cold up there, and I didn't bring a windbreak. I just had my fleeces. But anyway, we went up there, and then we came down the normal side, back down to the ridge and across down to Murrisk, the way you would normally come up. And I found that to be really, really hard. I can't imagine climbing up that. We ran down it. So we were wearing, as I say, our runners. So we just hopped from rock to rock and ran down. And that was super easy to get down that way. But I wouldn't like to be climbing up it. Very, very tough, I'd say. I saw a lot of people up there with all the wrong gear. I mean, there was nothing on. You know, jeans and T-shirt on the top, and a pair of ordinary shoes on the top of the mountain. But anyway, we enjoyed it. It was a really, really nice walk. I had, of course, done Croagh sort of when I did Tuathail Pádraig. You walk from Ballintubber Abbey over to Ahagower and then over to Murrisk. So you come up over the ridge. So when you're coming down or going up or going down the pilgrim side, you come to this ridge that goes along, and then you start the steep climb. When you come over the ridge on the Tuathail Pádraig walk and then down to Murrisk. But I'd never been to the top. This is my first time climbing Croagh. So I really enjoyed that. And it was something I've wanted to do since my childhood. When I used to go down to Westport, where my dad came from, to visit my grandparents, I'd be in the car with him. He'd say, there's your mountain, Croagh or Croagh, because of course I'm Chris and Patrick. And he said, there's your mountain. We need to go and climb that. We never climbed it. So this is my first time. I was very, very pleased with that. So that was the first one I did. Of the this time round on the pilgrims. That's 4 down. And then I did another one. So last week I was up in Kildare at a dinner in Martinstown. And the following morning, 6 o'clock, got up, and I slept in my camper van that night after dinner. I drove across to Hollywood to do the St. Kevin's Away. And that was sort of an interesting walk. So the first thing I'd say is you don't start in Hollywood, because the first 15 kilometres, 30-kilometre walk, the first 15 kilometres on the road, a narrow little road with high banks and nowhere to go and big trucks. You don't want to be walking on that. So he recommends that you go as far as a place called, let me see here what they call it, Ballinagree Bridge. And he's wrong. He says, go to Ballinagree Bridge, and then you'll see the signs and follow them. So I went to Ballinagree Bridge, and I parked up. You can see me here nicely parked up. And I saw the sign. I walked into the forest, and I saw another sign. And then it took me off up this mountain, over the mountain, then back in this big loop back to where I started virtually. That's not the way to go. The way to go is drive past Ballinagree Bridge about 400 or 500 meters, and on your right hand side you see another parking area and another sign for St Kevin's Way, and that's where you go, and that's where you start. And then you walk up. Now the walk itself was, I thought, uninteresting. I wasn't impressed at all with this. It's way marked, and you walk through bits of forest, bits of woodland, across some bog, and very marshy. And then you work your way down the valley and up the valley to Glendalough, to the old monastic site. And I didn't find it particularly interesting. I thought, yeah, compared to the west of Ireland, the mountains on the west, or the Mournes or Kerry, it's just Wicklow. I thought that was very average. So I suppose if that's all you can do, it's wonderful. But I thought I sort of ticked off the list. That's the way I looked at it. But I didn't think it was a very exciting walk. I didn't come back thinking, wow. Although the scenery was okay, but it's just not the west of Ireland, It's just not the same thing at all. So I did that. So there are my walks, and that's my approach to summer, is to do these. So my plan is, for example, there's 3 up in Donegal and there's 1 in Antrim. So I'll probably just drive up for a weekend, do the 3 ones in Donegal, go over and do the 1 in Antrim, go down to Kerry and maybe do, or Clare or whatever, do 3 or 4 walks and go home, go back down the following week, do 3 or 4. That's not my plan over the summer, to try and knock down the whole 20 pilgrim walks. I sort of like the pilgrim walks. I enjoyed the Caminos so much. And I really want to go back and do of these Caminos. There's something special about them. So I'm enjoying these pilgrim walks. So that's sort of my summer project. Now, what else I want to tell you? Yes, I'm running again. So I said I sort of wouldn't do any more running. I'd just do the hiking. And but then I found that without doing my walks here, I do this 10K walk, pretty easy walk up and down the river. I found myself jogging bits of it. There was 1 or 2 days of rain, I ran it, and so I said, yeah, this is sort of nice. And then I went for a run with a friend of mine who did 10K, and we did it in like 56 minutes or something. I thought, yeah, I enjoyed that. And down in Clonbur, there's a walk I was doing from sort of a walk and then a jog type of thing, walking up the hills, running the flats and running down the hills from Clonbur down to Cong and back. So 7.5K each way, so 15K. And I did that a few times. And then I started walking this 21K loop that I made up out around White Island, and then taking a couple of the cycle trails, the bike trails for the mountain bikes, adding those in. I was able to make a 21K exactly from outside the car park where I parked my van, down, doing the loop and back up. Exactly 21K half marathon. So I walked it a couple of times in 3.5 hours, whatever. And then another day I started jogged little bits first, and then I thought, sure, I'll give it a go. I'll see if I can run the whole thing. And I ran it in, let me just check this, make sure I'm giving you the right one. I ran it in 2 hours, 9 minutes. So I averaged 6 minutes per kilometre. That's a personal best. That's the fastest I've ever run it in my life. So I was really super pleased with that. So I think I'll do a bit more of that as well. I like that distance. 21K, sort of a beautiful distance to walk or to run. The 25K walk is really nice. The 21K walk, really nice distance. I really enjoyed that. So that's sort of it. So I'm home, all is good, and I'm looking forward to my birthday the day after tomorrow. I think the girls are coming to see me. I don't know if Patrick is, and I'm sort of looking forward to seeing them. Haven't seen them for a while, and that'll be nice. And then I'm just going to every week just go and knock down a few walks, do 2 or 3 pilgrim walks, or a couple of pilgrim walks even every week. I've only got 15 to go. So if I do 2 or 3 a week, I'd have them done in no time at all. So I'm sort of excited to do that. I'm going to stay around for the summer, and I'm going to a wedding in the first couple of days of October. And my plan is, as soon as I come back from that I would head off, probably to France actually this time, probably to the camper van over to France. That's my current thinking. Work my way down through France into Spain and work my way down to the south of Spain, and probably stay there for the winter. Find somewhere nice where I can park up, where I can do some nice hiking. I really want to do some more Caminos. I've already made a decision. I'm going to do at the very least 1 full Camino every year. That's my goal anyway. That's the intention. We'll see what the gods grand to me. But yeah, I'd like to start with the Via de la Plata. It's 1,000 kilometers. I might do that one. That might be my first one that I would do maybe at the end of this year, if it's not too late in October, or if it is too late, it'd be the one I would do last thing before I come home for the summer in April or May. So that's the plan at the moment, guys. All is good. Glad to be back. Glad to have survived my little bit of the Van der Line and my my one day out, and excited to do these pilgrim walks. So as I do more walks, I'll update. I'll pop up a couple of videos on them so you can have a look. So that's sort of it. Good talking to you all. Talk to you soon.